Hi, my name is Deacon Kevin Stevenson. I am a deacon with the Roman Catholic Church here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my project will be named Forbidden Love and the 1921 Tulsa Race Riots. Just from the name itself, what I'm developing will be fictional characters based upon historical truths. The reason I'm going with fictional characters because there are different stories about what really started the riots, which resulted in the death of hundreds of African Americans. So there's different stories, but what we do know is that it was initiated between contact between a young couple, between a young black man and a young white woman. And so, being that there's not really concrete ideas of what really happened, we do know that from that encounter, there was a massacre, and there was extreme hatred and pain that we feel to this very day. I think what's key about this story is that it still reflects upon the tensions that we're having in our country when it comes to racial relationships. I think the unique piece that I'm going to bring to it as a Roman Catholic cleric is how do we get through this? Just so you know, with my background, I am a chaplain, so I'm a hospital-based chaplain, so I deal with people in trauma. So I see all sort of things that happen, that come to the hospital, and many of these people are victims of abuse. And so I find myself working with people that have been traumatized. I'm also a licensed professional counselor, so I've done therapy work with victims of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, those type of things. So I've had experience working with people that have been traumatized. Also, too, part of my experience that before I became Catholic, I was also an assistant minister within a prominent African American church in North Tulsa where the riots took place, and that particular church was burnt down during the riots in 1921. So I've had the opportunity to talk to the minister there and some family members who are relatives of people that were part of that experience in the early 1920s. So I feel a need to put another spin to the story. And again, the goal is to tell the truth of what has happened. That we do know that there's atrocities that took place based upon hatred, racial hatred, and at the same time, the possibility that this was stimulated by something that was really innocent. And my story be around that the love affair between two young people that were attracted to each other regardless of race, age, or anything like that. But then the tragedy of what has happened with their families and with the community. And I think nowadays, particularly when it comes to biracial relationships and those type of things, I think it still brings up a lot of strong feelings. And in Oklahoma, um, there's a lot of mixture in races. You have being that you have African Americans here, but you also have Native Americans. So there's a lot of mixture between Native Americans and African Americans and Europeans, and so that is a phenomena here in Oklahoma. Another part about Oklahoma is that with all that is experienced, I'm so amazed by the peace that I see here among the citizens. We have not had the kind of trauma when it comes to racial riots and tensions that we've seen around the country. There's something very unique about Oklahoma and citizens here. There's a deep sense of respect, even in the midst of injustice. There's still a deep sense of respect for oneself and one's community. So I really want to capitalize on that piece. And the goal of this project is to be totally honest about the trauma that has happened, the injustice, at the same time, move to a place of forgiveness and reconciliation. I think both those things can take place. That certainly is the experience for me as a therapist when I work with people that have been abused. We do not deny or negate what has actually happened. At the same time, we try to give people the opportunity to move on and to still have good lives in the midst of their trauma. And part of that involves forgiveness. It really does involve forgiveness. It doesn't mean that the person is re-traumatized, but it involves forgiveness and integrating that pain into their life. And many of these people that have experienced abuse become real champions for other people that experience abuse. So there's positivity. There are positive things that happen even out of trauma, and I think that can be applied at the same time. I'm not minimizing the level of the trauma that African Americans experience in this country, but I think this movie can speak to moving forward and moving towards peace and reconciliation in light of historical trauma. So that's basically what the project is, and I'm still working on the script, and I want to. There's been some interest about this project, and my main goal, I would love to have Oklahomans to be a major part of this in terms of crew, in terms of cast, in terms of location. I want it to be shot on location, in the very grounds where the riots took place. I would love to have people who are descendants of people that were victimized as well as the perpetrators to be part of that experience as well. So I really want this to be a community-based, Oklahoma-based project that everybody can rally around. And what's important with the faith piece is that I believe some things are just so much bigger than ourselves that we do need something greater than ourselves, a higher power. We do need God to help us walk through that. So that is really the gist of what my project is. I pray that this is God's will. I pray that this can be a source of healing in our community and even within our country. So those are my ideas. Pray for me, and I hope to bring this to reality very soon.